they see an asking price and that's what they think they can buy it for. The faces drop every time. A lot of people with a lot of money out there, well, there's no point me starting at the asking price because it's just going to bid up anyway. So they go 10 grand over. There's over 100 grand of a difference for the exact same house. There's a lot of buyers out there that are just fed up.
Today we're here with Gerard McClinton, estate agent. Gerard, we're going to get straight into it.
Good stuff.
What way is things looking? We're at the start of 2025. What way is the property market looking at the minute?
Exciting so far.
Yeah.
Exciting. So new year, new start. Last year was very busy. And I don't see any change this year at all. It's going to be active. There's going to be a lack of stock still in general. There's still money out there.
Yeah.
Still a lot of buyers coming off the back of last year. So it's going to be interesting again.
So the first question I have is, how difficult is it to get a house right now?
Again, based on last year was hard for buyers in general. So again, there was just a lack of stock, a lot of competition, a lot of people with a lot of money out there. First-time buyers, I think, are going to find it difficult this year, again, similar to last year, to try and find the right thing. There's going to be a lot of competition.
And the sort of house prices have went up this year, obviously. People are there's a lot of talk of a housing crisis, things are very expensive. Do you think there's any chance that's going to change in 2025, or is it going to keep going the same way?
Yeah, I don't see... There's nothing obvious at this point in time that's going to make me think a crash is going to happen or it's going to be reduced in price in any way. When you think about what we have had in the last 30 years, there's been a pandemic, there's been, the fuel increase, there's been a lot of different things that have happened there, cost of living, and the property prices have kept going. They were big factors in what you would think would actually subdue the market, and it's been completely the opposite way. It's been bizarre. So unless there's something really dramatic that happens this year, I don't see it.
And it's sort of starting to happen, and there's talk of it dropping even more, interest rates coming down. So you'd imagine that's not going to have much of a benefit in terms of house pricing.
It's any kind of advantage that way is going to keep pushing things.
Yeah.
Buyers, especially first-time buyers, are going to keep wanting to get on the property market, get on the ladder. It's genuinely the stuff that has happened. It would need to be something really serious to subdue it this year, and I just don't see it. So you never know what will happen.
Is it just as simple as demand is that high
Totally.
and supply is just not there?
Yeah, there's just not enough houses in general, and the amount of buyers is insane at this point in time. For a lot of my stuff, within the first week of a property going on the market, I would have maybe between 30 and 50 viewers going through a door, and of that, they are all genuine Boston buyers ready to buy something. So that's one house, and a lot of the stuff that I would have, most agents will find this too, is that they'll have the same people. One out of that 50 people, there'll be one person buys it, the next house comes on the market, those 49 other people are going to see the next house, and the viewers are nearly getting to see each other in a lot of different circles. It's mad.
Is it difficult to manage that from your side? Obviously, I'm assuming you deal with a lot of frustrated people, they're in viewing houses flat out and just maybe not having any luck. How do you manage that side of things?
Even this house that we're in at the minute, I remember doing the viewings on this, and every single time I have a lot of people coming through a property, I'll ask them, especially first-time buyers, well, have you been looking for a while, or what kind of time scales? And you just see the initial smile when they've walked through the door, and when I ask them that question, the faces drop every time. It's terrible. You just see them, they're just deflated because they've been looking for months. They've seen a pile of houses. They may, on some occasions, not even get into the house. It's agreed before they get to view it. If they get to see it, again, similar to this house that we're in, I had about 15, 20 people through in one day at one point in time, and they're coming straight after another. And the viewers were coming through, seeing one leaving, one waiting. It's hard. It is hard. So you see a lot of, it's meant to be an exciting time. It can be very frustrating as well, but there's a lot of buyers out there that are just fed up, genuinely fed up, especially the first-time buyers.
And I'm assuming you deal a lot around Belfast, Lisburn. Is there any sort of area it isn't the case, or is it just sort of everywhere is the same?
Yeah, I think it's just across the board, although I would be quite specific about what I take on. So my stock is stuff that will sell quickly anyway. But even within Belfast, for instance, there's certain streets that'll fly and there's certain streets that won't fly. So not everything is going out the door at 50 grand over asking price. You'll find that the demand, especially with first-time buyers in the areas that they want to be in, they're the hot spots anyway. They want to be beside the cafes, they want to be beside parks and whatever it might be. And those areas are flying.
Yeah.
That's the hard parts. It's okay if, for an example here, I've just sold a house last year there on Orient Gardens in North Belfast. It was 175,000. The same house in South Belfast, where I've just sold one, is 280 grand. There's over 100 grand of a difference for the exact same house. But again, a hotspot, a lesser hotspot, there's 100 grand of a difference.
Yeah. In terms of like, you've mentioned a few times our first time buyers, like what's the expectation like? We're also that age, like Ross and Shay's bought a house recently, I've just bought a house. Like, do you think people our age maybe have like an unrealistic expectation of what they want and what they can afford, or like what it's going to be like we talk about like social media, seeing like people with all these nice houses, they're like straight off the bat, I want the same thing, but maybe it's like you have to move a bit further than, like out of the hot spots to like get on the ladder, or
possibly because like again, and a lot of first time buyers, for instance, the expectation is they want to walk into a house that has no work required. They want to walk into something that looks beautiful and nice, and that's why a lot of my marketing houses are staged as well. It's attracting that type of buyer, so when they walk in they have nothing to do. So the expectation there is they'll pay over the odds. They want to pay over the odds for something that looks nice, but that's not just one. That's again like 40, 50 other buyers that want the exact same thing. So the expectation of, hypothetically speaking, the house comes on at 200 grand. I think where first time buyers need to be looking at is, what is that going to go to? It's not going to be 200 grand. It's going to be 220, 230, 250. Yeah. So what's the expectation of the price? Are you, as a first time buyer, setting your standard at the right level? If your budget's 200 grand, you need to be looking at 170, 180 grand, not 200, because that's going to go higher again. So I think it's just knowing what you want to buy. Why do you want to buy that type of house? Is it a house, an apartment? What location? Why do you want that? And your budget. You have to the budget's key. You have to stick to the budget. You got to know what you need to spend to get what you want.
Is that a misunderstanding? Like you're saying there, maybe people just aren't 100% sure of like the way it's going at the minute in terms of bidding. Like, I think people are coming in with like looking at viewing a 200,000 house, say, and they're like, oh, my budget is 200 grand. Whereas you're like, well, this could end up at 250 here. Like, do you know?
I think there's still a lot of buyers, especially fresh buyers coming through that may have only started on a journey. They see an asking price and that's what they think they can buy it for. And the more experienced buyers that are experienced viewers, not even buyers that haven't bought a house yet, more experienced viewers are coming through and they've seen the process. They understand what the bidding's like at this point in time. So there's a lot of those folks who would come in and they'd say to me straight off the bat, Gerard, okay, this is 200 grand. What do you think it's going to go for? So they're asking me, and that's a brilliant question. That's what they should be asking. Yeah. What's the potential? Where is this going to go? Just so I know whether I'm wasting my time or not. I let people on the phone even before they get through the door ask me that question. I think it's brilliant. Yeah.
Because even from my own experience, like we viewed a house a couple of months ago and I went in like it was the first day of viewing and the house was up, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but like 6 people have viewed it. Yeah. And I was chatting to your wives the last viewing of the day. I was chatting, I was like, oh well, and he goes, yeah, I've had an offer 10 grand above asking already. Like the first offer was above asking. So like, is that common enough now? Like people are that hungry for getting a house, or like, oh, if I go in above straight away, I have a better chance of getting it.
Yeah, so that's tactics. So a lot of buyers will go tactically, and that they'll know that the property might go 10, 20 grand over the asking price. So they think, well, there's no point me starting at the asking price because it's just going to bid up anyway. I'm going to attracting and allowing maybe 2 or 3 other people to jump in as well. So they go 10 grand over. I've had ones much higher than that. Much higher than that in order to try and stop anybody else even coming near the house.
What is, like, in your experience, the most like someone's went in straight off? Like?
Just under 100 grand.
Above?
Fair play.
And did they get it?
They got it.
If I had a house up for it, someone said 100 grand more of it. Yeah, no more. Like, just a complete guerrilla tactic nearly.
Yeah, so it was, obviously it wasn't like £100,000 house. It was around 200 grand for it. It was a bit more expensive. And I had on social media, I had it kind of pre-marketed. I had it out there. So before Come On Property, Pan Property News and Homes NI, I had it out there. So people had seen it. Yeah. And this one person had phoned me and said, look, I want this house. And I said, there's you and about 30 other people want it too. I'm going to offer X for it. And I said, look, the first viewings don't even take place until next week. And I have about 30 people lined up to see it. And nobody's been through the door yet. I know I'm going to get that. this amount extra that this person had bid. And they said, well, okay, well, what about if I give this further amount again? And it was cash offer.
Yeah.
And I said to him, well, that's kind of attractive. Let me talk to the seller. Spoke to the seller.
You pure playing it down and all. You're like, well, we'll see what happens.
You're going back to the seller.
It's amazing. Yeah, no, it was all kind of cool and nice, and kind of left it at that. Seller was like, if you can get that sort of done now, it would close it. But obviously I have to make sure the person has the money and does want it. Like, it's grand offering me that sort of money over the phone. You haven't seen the house.
Yeah.
So I said to the viewer, let's go, come on across here. You, your partner, and your proof of funds, and let's go and see the house. And I was there in 20 minutes. They viewed it, made the offer, the deal was done.
So this was before they'd even viewed it?
Oh, aye. Yeah. They've seen the photographs online with me.
Yeah.
Is that like common enough? Because like I've spoke to like friends and work and stuff, and a couple of people looking at houses at the minute, and they're like, I can't even get in for a viewing. They're like, by the time I can, like, obviously with work organise it, they're like, the house is gone. So like, are you getting much? Is it even an option to put it about like an offer down before viewing it, or is it like sort of frowned upon?
You can, but on most occasions, for instance, I'm not really going to entertain it.
Yeah.
Most occasions. So if somebody comes, if I have a 200 grand house and they say, I'm going to make you an offer 210 now for it, well, in that instance, you haven't seen it. I need you to see it. Now, if I know that I'm going to get potentially 250 for it, I'm going to drag it out a wee bit more. You're going to have to come and see it. You and other parties will take it from there. So you can make an offer, but it's not going to be acceptable until you've viewed the property. I'm never going to accept an offer unless I've seen it. And that's why, in that instance there, I had to say to them, let's go.
Yeah.
You have 20 minutes to get across this house. Let's go and see it. If you still like it and the money's there, then you can have it.
Yeah.
Do you think that house would have went for as much if it was on the open market?
Not sure. I'm not sure. I think I might have got close to it.
Yeah.
I think I might have got close to it. I think when I went back to the 30 odd people that wanted to see it, I had 30 angry, cross, very frustrated people that were offering me money as well. Now, they didn't know what I'd agreed to that. So it was good to hear what their thoughts were. Well, I'm going to offer you X. I'm going, in my back of my head, I'm going, I've got much more than that anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I think again, with that type of house, it was fairly unique. It was a bit of a one-off. It was gorgeous, gorgeous house. It might have, I'm not sure. But at that point in time, with that amount of money offered on the table, we were all able to go, this works.
I suppose even people's reaction, like, I'm sure you eventually have to tell them the offer. Like, you're like, well, this is the offer on it. People were like, right, okay.
Yeah, when people pushed me on that. So some people kind of were like, fine, that's fine. It's gone, done, move on with it. A few of the slightly angrier parties really wanted to know what it did go for in the end. And when I told them, they were like, fair enough.
Yeah. And do you think, like, one of the questions we had was, do you think houses are going for what they're worth at the minute? Like, a lot of people are talking like houses are too expensive. Like, is it in line with inflation? Is that just the way it is? Is it just the way the pricing is at the minute? Obviously, building houses is a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
So new builds are obviously driving the price up. But, like, or do you think that where it's at the minute is where it should be, or is it just crazy numbers? Like,
no, I don't think it's even as bad as what it could be. Like, if I look back to 2006, 2007, when I was involved with it then, like, there's houses that I sold then. They're not even at that stage now.
Yeah.
I was selling houses off the Ormer Road with 2-bedroom terrace house, like 1.5 bedroom houses for £250,000. They're not £250,000 even today.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of areas that haven't even increased back to that price level.
Yeah.
I seen a wee stat today actually that was talking about to get, we're the cheapest in the UK at this point in time. We're the most value for money in the UK at this point in time as well. So I think in London the average house price is £550,000. You need to have like 14 times your salary in order to buy a property. In England it's 290 grand. We're 190. In Lisbon where we are here now is 220,000. So we're still serious value for money.
Yeah.
I still think there's a lot of growth to be done here.
Yeah. So we were talking about, I think, was it Smart Mortgages, Aaron McElhenney, and he sort of said the same thing. He was like, we're actually the cheapest in the UK and we've almost got catching up to do.
Totally.
Which is not what people want to hear.
When we crashed after 2008, I think it was 2012, if I remember rightly, 2012, the average house price then was, I think even, it was terrible. It was about 100 grand. It was something ridiculously cheap at that point in time here. So from then to now, like we've just incrementally kind of increased the average house price. And so there's a lot of activity at the minute, which is great. And the when this happens, there's always a common theme of, oh, it's going to crash. Or house prices are too dear. And it's the public that are driving it though. You know, the agents aren't driving it. We're not driving it. It's the public and the demand and the money out there that's driving it. And thankfully, mortgages, like I remember even back to 2006, 2007, when the self-assessment mortgages were there. You know, people were coming in and saying, I earn X, Y, and Z to mortgage companies, and they were getting mad money through from lenders. Like, that's not the case. It's all very much, I think it's very normal and sensible right now.
Yeah.
But there's a serious amount of growth.
Because when you watch like films like The Big Short and stuff, it talks about them. I watched it like 5-10 times. Like, but like the way it was run back then, like it was just everyone and anyone was getting a mortgage, where it doesn't seem to be the case. So like when people talk about a property crash and things, and like I've like family who work in like trades and stuff, it just seems like it's almost like a myth now. Like I just can't really see it happening. There
was 100% mortgages. If I remember right, I think there was 125% mortgages. People were negative equity before they took their feet in the door. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And I remember at any point in time, we would have had like the amount of new developments were coming. Oh, it was mental. There was so many properties for sale at any point in time. And I remember quite a few occasions phoning a buyer, and it was one in particular in my head right now that I remember phoning him and saying to him, your house is completed, come on, grab your keys for it. I don't want the house. How much is it worth now? Yeah. And I told him how much it was worth now. It was probably about 30 odd grand higher than what he paid for it a number of months before that. I'll sell it again. So there was even that as a scenario of people that actually didn't want the property. It was a case of, this is going to go up by another 20, 30 grand by the time I finish the legal process, sell it. So there's a lot of kind of false movement, if that makes sense. People weren't actually tangibly taking the property. It was just handing through here and there, and then don't start me on new bills. People queuing up out the door, 20, 30 people queuing up at the front door, coming in, booking phase 1, and reselling in phase 2, like, and making 30 grand as well, when they never act. There wasn't even a property there, like physically for a start. Like, that was insane. It was completely inflated. So today's nowhere near the same, thankfully.
Sort of touched on it, but the question I have here is, you've been in business over 20 years. How does the current market compare to previous?
Yeah, it's sensible. It's nice. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's more people having to save money for deposits. They have to put down a decent deposit to buy something. I think house prices are all right.
Yeah.
I think it's much nicer now.
Do you think people are sort of acting with knowing what happened in 08 in the back of their head? They're more maybe cautious in what to do?
I think possibly, but again, I think they have to be, because the actual vehicle for the chaos isn't here anymore. They can't go and get 125% mortgage, 100% mortgage, or you can't, even that new build scenario, you can't do that anymore. A lot of developers after that stopped you booking something in phase 1 and reselling it in phase 2 again. That stopped too. So that whole scenario of being able to allow that chaos to happen doesn't happen anymore.
Surely that, like, I think we're going through, like, we were buying a new build, so we're going through the process at the minute, but it's even like, sure, you don't get the keys until like it's went out and valued when it's built, and like by then it's done and you've paid whatever. But like, how were people selling the houses then if without even like it being built?
It was just going on the list. So even I remember a development in Dunmurray that I was doing. It was I think 550 units in total over the course of a few years, and phase 1 came out and nothing built. This was off plan. So people were coming and booking £1,000 deposit, booking site number 1, for instance, and it was, let's say, 100 grand, hypothetically speaking. Phase 2 would be released in 3-4 months' time. Again, nothing's built. Phase 1 might only be foundations at that point in time. But they were allowed to, they would come into me as the agent and say, I don't want this house anymore. I've got to pay a 10% deposit in 12 weeks' time. I don't want it. Can you resell it again? And because they were selling out so quickly, and people were jumping at these new builds, I was able to go, my phase 2 list, I'm sticking site number 1 back on again for 30 grand more. And people were buying that property for 30 grand more than the first person. So the whole thing was being just changed legally, who this person was booking it to that person booking it, and then this person was taking
And that person got
Exes.
money then, or what?
Even sitting out in the front door, the
Yeah.
queues of people would be standing in the front door for somebody else. They might have charged you £5,000 to sit at the front door. If you weren't able to be first in line,
Yeah.
somebody would charge. I charge you £5. You want this development? You want to be in the first development because you're going to make 30 grand in 12 weeks' time.
Yeah.
I'm going to charge you £5 grand. I'm going to sit at the front door. You're happy with that because you're about to make another 30 grand, 25 grand after my £5 grand fee. Like, it was nuts.
What the fuck?
What the
Every
fuck
time,
is going
yeah.
on? Some of the stories that were going about then of how people were making money and doing it was chaos. That doesn't happen.
So
So, but now and then, this is much nicer.
things are pretty good, right? People be listening to this thinking, Jesus.
I think like a lot of people now though, when they're buying, I think it is like touching on what Thomas said there a couple of minutes ago. There's the expectations of first time buyers, especially. I think they think this is what I'm going to get, and then when it actually comes, like I know that was one of the massive. Like I bought my house almost 2 years ago, and I remember whenever we were looking at it at the time, it was one of them things where you were going out and you're like, I have X amount I want to spend. And then I was in the similar position that you were talking about, where I would have went to a property and it would have been maybe $5 grand more than what I intended to spend. And as soon as I hit the door, it was like, yeah, there's been an offer. There's 10 grand more on the house, and you're going, right, well, we may just turn and walk back out again.
Yeah.
Whereas then our mindset, like we left ourselves a bunch of time, and our mindset kind of switched after a while and went, you know what, let's just tail this back a little bit and buy a house that, because we were kind of looking at for a forever home, which was as first time buyers was probably a very stupid thing to do. Whereas now we're in a house that we know will get us more money. Like if we, like the house is literally went out across the road, very similar to ours, and has went for, I think it was 12 grand more than what we bought our house for. And you're kind of going, right, well, yeah, and our house was a fixer, not a fixer upper, but like, you know, it had, you definitely, you know, that sort of horror movie wallpaper and stuff, and you were going, right, well, hopefully there's not a blood painted below it or whatever. But, you know, by the time we kind of get in and made really sort of standard, you know, improvements, we know we could either rent it on or sell it on, do you know what I mean? But it was a shock to the system at the time. I think a lot of people are going out and being like, I have this amount of budget to play around with and the world's my oyster. It's not.
It's good that you went for something that needed a bit of work though, because a lot of first time buyers don't do that. I could have two houses in the same street, one needing work and one very much overpriced for being refurbished. You could do the work on this well in the budget of buying that, but yet pretty much all the first time buyers would pay over the odds for this one. It's easy to walk into, just do it. And if you can imagine too, a lot of first time buyers don't have actual funds, money themselves. They've got enough for a deposit, but they won't have actually able, you know, 20 grand to go in and do work for the house at 10 grand.
And a lot of first time buyers now, it's maybe a bit of a presumptuous statement, but they are, like, times have changed where not a lot of people are getting into like trades and stuff, so they probably don't have, like, I know for me, I, like, my dad would have been able to go in and fix up a house absolutely no problem, whereas I would have rather hit my head off the wall. Like, I don't want to go in and start ripping this stuff up. Luckily enough, I had a brother-in-law who's a joiner, so it proved quite handy. But it's definitely one of them things. I don't think it probably just takes people to go out and start looking to sort of face reality.
They need to get round and do the rounds, go and see stuff. I've had people come into a house before, it's been the first house they've seen, first view, and they've walked in, loved it, making an offer. In the back of my head, I'm saying to myself, have you seen enough? Like, do you know this is actually the one for you? You know, if you go away today and tomorrow you see something else on the website that actually grabs you a bit more, are you going to walk away from mine? That kind of makes me a bit nervous. So I think doing the rounds and getting out and seeing stuff, just so you know what exactly it is you want.
Is it almost good for buyers, you know, if you have a perceived, say you're planning on getting married and buying a house or something, would it be a better thing to kind of start looking ahead of when you think is appropriate to start looking, to avoid that kind of rushing into something? And
I think possibly, I think, again, a lot of the ones that would come through the doors with me, they've been looking at the portals for a couple of months online. They've kind of been looking, maybe not paying too much attention to what things are selling for, but they can see physically the houses that are coming on, the asking prices and what they look like. So most of them have a bit of an idea of that. But it's when you get into the property. Everything looks different online. You have to get in and see a property physically and actually get a feel for something and know whether it's the one for you.
Some houses we looked at and we were like, oh, that looks amazing. And then you walked in and you couldn't swing a camera.
Totally different.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. The thing with photographs. Photographs are brilliant. Videos are great. Some of them make rooms look bigger. Some make rooms look smaller, darker, lower. You need to get in.
Yeah.
You need to get in.
Sort of naturally progressed on that, but the question we sort of have is we're talking a lot about how hard it is, but what is your sort of tips for, like, say, first time buyers trying to get onto the property market? Like, what are the things that they should be doing or looking out for?
I think the thing is with the obstacle that first time buyers have, I'll go into that, and then you can kind of backtrack to how you can kind of overcome that.
Yeah.
It's the speed of how quick things are actually progressing, like how things sale agree within a week, 2 weeks. And I'm finding that a lot of the bidders are coming in and they are making offers there and then. They're coming in, they like it. Like literally you walk into the house 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and you make an offer of 200 grand or 150 grand, whatever it might be, on the spot like that. And that's pretty much most of them. So I've had other viewers come through the door and they want to take the time and think about it. They like the house, but they want to think about making an offer, and they might take 2 or 3 days on it. You can't do that. You need to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, like, do the research, check that area of why do you want to be there, even the type of property, an apartment, a house. You know, what do you want? Why do you want that? And just know what you want first of all. So when you get into the property, you know it's either the one for you, it's not for you. The budget again, the price. You need to know what this is going for roughly. Can you afford it? And then finance. You need to have your finance in place. Like, if you don't have a mortgage in principle, I'm not even entertain you.
Would you have that often though? Like, people coming to you but haven't even been to like a mortgage advisor or anything?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of ones just no intention on buying. They just love a good nosy.
Oh, I see it.
They'll see like a house. They'll see like a house going like I've heard of ones down where we're from. Like I swear, a house will go up for sale in their estate, and they'll be like, "Mom, down, we'll go for a nosy." You're just like,
that can happen. That can happen. Yeah, you try and when I was speaking to people on the phone, like
I
I'm
always
trying to
knew
engage
Dolores's
them.
interior design was crap.
There's been, especially when you do open houses. So I've got a lot of the really, really tasty houses that have been refurbished, and when you do an open view and there might be 30 or 40 people coming through the door over 2 hours, you can tell who's just there for the waffle. Like, they're taking photographs of door handles, or like getting a nice wee angle and slinking down, taking photographs of different rooms, doing things. And I'm going, what are you at? Like, what are you actually doing here?
Tommy's in looking to see what rugs they have.
Where'd you get that rug?
Where was that from? Bringing my own rug in. Yeah, so the finance thing obviously seems pretty self-explanatory, but like you say, there is occasions where people maybe haven't even went that far.
Just get too excited. Just see something online. They think they can afford that. They might have been talking to their uncle, or their checked a wee bit of Google or something like that, and next minute they can afford 200 grand or 250 grand. It's completely different when you get to mortgage advisors.
Such a weird one, because like I'm even thinking, like, me and Shay, like when he was on about moving up to Belfast, I'm obviously renting in Belfast at the minute, but like, you would have been like sending each other houses and property pal, or even like being nosy, being like, oh, look at this, has went up and stuff like that. And so like, even myself, I would have had like a gauge of like what the prices are like. I was thinking about either buying in Belfast or buying closer to home. So it just seems weird that like people don't even think of that. Like, they're just going straight in. I suppose maybe it's that excitement of,
I think it is.
Oh, I want to get a house, want to start our lives. Like,
yeah, I think it is. It's a silly move though. You do need to get the finance sorted, or at least just that step.
Yeah.
Speak to somebody, know what you can do. I think the Halifax and a couple of the big lenders online, when you go onto their website, you can do a mortgage agreement in principle.
Yeah.
But it's rough.
Yeah.
But all I want to know is, like, have you took the first step at least and what you can afford this?
Yeah.
And some people might even like think, oh, we can't afford that, but then when you actually get like a quote, like your mortgage in principle or something, you can actually afford more than what you thought.
Exactly.
Yeah. Moving on then, so you have your finances in place, you know what you can afford. So when it comes to actually viewing the house, like, what are the things people should be looking out for when viewing? Like, things maybe, oh, this could be an issue, or even just positive things.
Yeah. I say this to all viewers too. You're not coming there as a surveyor. You're not coming there as an electrician or a plumber or a joiner, whatever it might be. You're coming there as a potential homeowner. So the first thing I want people to do is, do you like the house? Do you feel like you like it? So first of all, disregard the structure and things like that, issues. Do you see that this house could be for you? Do you feel like this could be something you could spend your time in? Is it going to make your life all nice and fluffy that you think it's going to, first of all? If yes, that's a big tick. After that, you're looking at what's obvious, and I don't expect buyers to see damp or look at rewiring and things like that. You're coming around to look at the house and just see if it's, first of all, nice enough. After that, if there's something obviously old looking in the house, that's all most buyers can do. When you're looking at it, it's, do the radiators look new? Does the boiler look new? Does the windows look new? Other than that, if they're old, do they need replaced? Do I need to spend any money on it? So when viewers are coming through, I try and, I want to make it nice for them in a way that, just come, like the house first of all. Leave your experts to do everything else afterwards. If you like the look of this house and if there's anything obviously bad that you think you're going to spend money on, then that's obvious. All the stuff under the surface you don't see. Leave it to the experts, leave it to the surveyors. Take it step at a time. There's no pressure on you to, complete on a house. If it has damp and you find that down the line, then you deal with it down the line. You either walk away or you negotiate the price or something. Yeah. But for viewers, just make sure you like the house first of all. Make sure you can buy it, afford it, and any issues, let your experts deal with them.
Yeah. And what are the questions you want people to be asking you as the estate agent?
I think the questions I would suggest that they do ask is, why is the house for sale? So there's always a very astute buyer that will ask nice questions. Most don't ask anything, which I find bizarre. I will be standing there asking, is there anything you want to ask me? Is there anything you want to kind of find out? No, I'm fine. I like it. It looks nice. And they walk out the door and they make an offer. It's like, no, come on, give me something here. Try and find out about the house. So why is the house for sale? The likes of this is an investment. This has been bought to refurbish to sell. Other houses, why are the owners moving? They're moving abroad or whatever. Find out why the house is for sale, first of all. It kind of goes against what I should be saying, but I think buyers should ask, is there any obvious problems with the house? As an agent, I'm probably not going to voluntarily say to somebody.
If someone does ask you, but do you have to tell them or what? Yeah, you have to.
If I know there's stuff wrong with the house, yeah. And do you know what? I actually think it's right.
Yeah.
If I know there's something wrong with the house and the buyer's going to come up against it down the line and it's not going to proceed with that particular buyer, they're better off knowing.
You're just wasting your time.
Totally. Yeah.
I suppose you're just kicking the tire down the road because it's going to come up eventually.
It's going to come up anyway.
Yeah.
So why are they selling? What issues, if anything, are you aware of for the house? What are the neighbours like?
Yeah. So I'd never think to ask that.
Now, 90% of the time, I don't genuinely know.
Yeah.
But if I do know, I'll say. And I'm a bit of a talker. Like, I love getting out the front and chatting to neighbours and stuff. So if I find a neighbour, I'm going to talk to them. So if I can give any information across that way, if the sellers told me who the neighbours are, then I'll relay that information too. I don't know what negatively is going to come out of that question. If somebody says, what are the neighbours like? I don't really know. Like, they've got 6 pit bulls and there's 15 of them in the house. Like, other than that, I think it's going to be fairly normal. What's the expectations of the price?
Yeah.
What else would there be? Timescales. So some sellers will not want to sell the house immediately. They might be looking to buy something that's not completing for another 7 months down the line, 8 months down the line.
What way does that work then?
You just have to be patient.
Yeah, so you could have, like, everything's agreed, but it's like, well, we're just here till they have another house.
Yeah, I've one at the minute where my seller actually can't find another property to go to. So the seller of my property has been looking now for 7 months to find a house and they cannot find the right one. My buyer has been sitting, the mortgage offer last 6 months. My buyer's been sitting, their mortgage offer's now expired.
Yeah.
When I agreed it to them, it was agreed on the condition that the sellers haven't found anything yet. You're just going to have to wait. Yeah. I never did think it was going to be 7 months. I think it might be touching nearly 8 months now. Never did think it would be that long, but it's that long. So that's something, again, I did tell the buyers that down the line, or initially. But it's definitely a question to ask.
Would you tell them straight off the bat then, or like, does it ever get to the stage where they're like, oh yeah, I want to go ahead, and you're like, right, well, they're waiting to find somewhere, and then you're like, well, this could be months and months before it goes ahead, and then it falls apart then?
Yeah, because again, I want it's about lack of time waste. I don't want people wasting time, my time or anybody's time. So if I know that the buyer's happy to wait 3 months, 4 months, or even just, we don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
The seller hasn't found anything. Are you happy to wait? How long? I don't know. Okay, well, let's give it a crack.
Suppose it makes your job more difficult then if people are constantly dropping out and you're trying to sell a house for your clients.
The whole thing about what I need to do is I need to get the most secure buyer for a house. So I'm looking at all the angles, finance, even the personal circumstances, everything, time scales, a lot. I want somebody that's not going to withdraw.
Yeah.
I need somebody completing on that sale, so we're all moving on with it.
I suppose the flip side of what we've just asked you is, like, what do you ask people? Like, what are you trying to get out of buyers?
Buyers?
That you're like, oh, is this
more money?
Is this legit? More money?
Well, again, yeah, so through general conversation,
Yeah.
like it's never really, I'm poking anybody for information, but you tend to find that people will volunteer a lot of information through general chit chat. But I want to know, again, their time skills.
Yeah.
Like, when are they looking to move now? Why this house? What have they seen before? Have they bid in anything before? Have they sold anything before? Have they been through the process? If they've been through the process, then they kind of know what they're at. Finances, just general life stuff about them. I want to know that they're going to be able to go through with us.
Yeah.
Is there anything you like, sort of independent professionals you'd tell people to maybe employ to look at a house before making a purchase? Because you get a surveyor in anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
That's sort of in line with your mortgage company wants you to do
I
that.
think, yeah. So kind of the time scale in that would be, if it's a house that is an obvious wreck, for instance.
Yeah.
I had one there not that long ago where the house had obvious problems, and I told the viewers, this needs checked, and I'm not even going to agree it to you until you've got it checked out.
Yeah.
So they had to get their own private survey done on the house before I would even accept an offer from them. I wanted them to understand what they were buying, rather than make an offer. I agree it. Month down the line, they get a survey and they come back and go, oh my God, Gerard, this house needs X, Y, and Z, which we all knew about anyway.
Yeah.
So get it done in advance, move on. Normal buyers, it would be mortgage valuation. See what comes of that. Get your mortgage offer through. You know you can get the money, and then get your survey done.
Yeah. You see a lot of these people now on TikTok and all, the snag inspector guys.
Yeah.
They come around. They're all independently employed, aren't they? By someone like looking around. I think they're sort of worth.
That's that Welsh guy.
What is it?
That's that Welsh guy.
Yeah. He goes around, he pokes all the holes in the windowsills and all that there.
Yeah, no, I think they're good. So the guy does. I've seen him on TikTok and stuff here. I think he does a lot of the new builds. He really pokes hole in the new builds. I think it's fantastic. I actually love watching his videos.
Yeah.
Because some of the workmanship is abysmal.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. But then that's up to buyers. Again, you're not going to find, apart from, I want buyers to get a survey done on a house. In actual fact, a lot of solicitors now, most of them, if they're worth their salt, will tell a buyer, get a private survey.
Yeah.
Because I know it's inevitable anyway, I want buyers to get it done earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
You tend to find the whole process kind of goes through where it's nearly at the end, and then the solicitor says, time to get a survey. You go, what? You're 2 months down the line, and now you're going to get a survey that's going to tell you there's probably something wrong with the house.
Yeah.
So because I know it's inevitable, I want them to do it in advance. But the likes of Snagging or other independent people, no, it's buyer just kind of has to think about it and do it.
Plumber in to come and look and check all your pipes.
I suppose though, like that is a good point and quite a good tip for even for first time buyers, because I would say the amount of people who come and look at a house and they will spend maybe a couple of weeks thinking about it because they think if they make an offer, that's like them tied in. Like I would say that's probably a big obstacle for the likes of yourself to get over, where you know you do have that, and not a lot of people probably know that you know you put an offer down on a house and it maybe goes sale agreed. There is still time to get your affairs. I would say a lot of people are walking out and going, I'll have a wee think about it, or looking for problems, or maybe going to the initial viewing with an electrician or something. Like a girl I work with there put an offer down on a house and then got an independent survey done after it went sale agreed.
Yeah.
And it came to light that whatever way them houses were built, they were built on top of some sort of infrastructure, and it was in the agreement that I think it was NIE or something could basically dig through their backyard to fix problems or the waterworks or something like that. And she was like, absolutely not. like things like that come to light, but she had already went sale agreed on the house, I know that was one of the things that caught me off guard at the start, because you were almost leaving the house and being scared to commit, because you were like, well, oh, what, you know, I seen this sort of thing upstairs and I'm not overly sure. I seen a bit of damp.
Yeah.
You know, there's an upstairs bathroom and I seen damp downstairs. Does that mean the shower tray's leaking, things like that? And you were going, oh, whereas you have the free will, but go sale agreed, get a survey done and figure out what you've got yourself into.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I think you need to just, unless there's something really, really obviously wrong as a normal person that you can see. And even at that, it might not be that wrong. It might not be that bad.
Yeah.
So unless you're really put off by it, if you just like the house, make your offers.
Yeah.
Go sale agreed, get your surveys done on. You've all the time to do it. Not all the time. You have a bit of time to do it. I want you to move on and get it done. But, you know, do your inspections and find out at that point in time, how bad is it? Can I proceed? Do I walk away? Do I negotiate the price to allow for some of these works? But yeah, I like to have buyers and sellers. I always say step at a time. It's a process. You don't need to be jumping too far ahead in this process at this point in time. You've only had an offer agreed. Next step is this. Next step is that. Work through it. And at any point in time it's not working for you, walk away.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of people sort of think, oh, they've got sale agreed, I have this house in my pocket, and I think that's it? There's a process after that still.
Yeah. Especially the first time buyers.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense though, because it's completely new. And it's a case of like, they're so excited after getting it agreed to them. I have them wanting to come back and measure up for furniture. Yeah.
Right.
I love that. I love that. That makes me feel fuzzy and warm inside. I love it. But it's like you're about 10 steps too early.
Yeah.
So let's take a step at a time. I don't mind that. I'll accommodate them to come around, do their measuring up. But I'll remind them where they are in the process as well.
Yeah.
Don't buy furniture. Yeah. You're not at buying furniture stage yet. This might not go through.
Yeah.
I suppose that moves us on nicely. When it comes sale agreed, you've sort of touched on it there. Like, how long can the process be?
On its quickest form. So a first time buyer moving into an empty house, if the solicitors are doing what they need to do and finances can be put in place quite quickly, genuinely it's probably still about 8 to 10 weeks, really. If there's any chain, so if there's another property in that link somewhere, it could be 12 weeks. It could go on for months depending on the type of property, any legal issues. And sometimes how quick the solicitors can make things happen. Some solicitors are quite slow.
Would you say that, would you?
I would.
Would you say?
Not name any names, but
I had one there not that long ago.
I could feel the anger to the right of me.
No. And I'm in the middle of the two solicitors, normally the buyer and the seller, and I'm trying to find out where they're all at in the process. This is something that kind of winds me up as well, but I'm there in the middle trying to keep things going. And I was talking to one solicitor and they said to me, I'm still waiting on this information coming through from the other side. And I phoned the other side, where's this information that this other side need? I've sent it to them. They sent it. I haven't received it yet. I know. Have you told them you haven't received it yet? No, not yet. They haven't received it yet. When did you send it? Probably about 2 weeks ago now. They sent it 2 weeks ago. Would you get on the phone and tell them that you haven't received it? It's 2 weeks ago. I'll do that. Another week passes. Nothing happens. Have you received this yet? No. Did you phone them? No, I sent them an email. Did they reply? No. They haven't received anything yet here. When did, what I sent them a letter. What have you sent? An actual postal letter? You sent them a letter? What year are we in here? What are we doing? You're not sending an email? No. Did you not think to follow it up? It was a month down the line and nobody had done a hand's turn.
Jesus.
A bloody letter. I lost my marbles.
But when it comes to the invoice,
straight on.
First class Royal Mail track day delivery.
Well, that's the thing. A month had passed and nobody had done anything, and you're looking at the two of them going, what is that?
I was something similar to ours. I was like nearly middleman between one of the solicitors and then our flipping estate agent. It was like, can we get things moving here? And it was like there was an issue with the house, but it was like a simple issue, and it never. He passed it on to our solicitor. He was like, "Oh, leave it with me. Back again whenever." 6 months into our mortgage. You know, obviously they only last for 6 months.
Yeah.
So we turned around like we're like, this isn't going through. What are we going to do? And went and asked for like second opinions from different solicitors. They're like, "Oh, that'll go through. No bother. There's no issue with that." He says, "Right, rang up the mortgage company. Can we get an extension? You can have 4 weeks." Solicitor put it through in 3 weeks and got it with 1 week left to go on the nearly on the 7th month.
That's wild.
mad, like, but
It's amazing what happens when a wee fire bit's put on them. Like,
Yeah.
things can happen.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
just, it's not that proactive.
Yeah.
The whole
yeah.
process is not very proactive.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
I
Absolutely.
suppose it's doing your due diligence with solicitors as well. Like, what are they like before you?
I don't know.
Are they all the same?
I'm not sure. Some massive names, some big names,
Yeah.
and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really want to comment too much more.
We'll move on then. So one thing I want to get into is obviously like the bidding wars thing is a massive thing. People sort of fighting over houses. I think I know the answer to this, but is there anything people can do to stand out when they're bidding, or is it just a matter of highest bid wins?
Yeah. So your deposit sometimes will come into play.
Mm.
So again, one of the sales I had recently there, that if I've got 4 or 5 bidders on a house, I'm looking at who is the most secure. So sometimes not even the highest bidder will get it.
Yeah.
It can bid to a point where everybody stops. And me as an agent, what I do is I don't let people walk away. If you're bidding and there's 3 people above you, I'll say to you, that's fine, just wait. You still might get it, depending on your circumstances. So I wait until all the bids stops, and then I look at everybody and who on merit is the best one that's going to go through this house. You might have said something to me about the property that makes me think he's in this house. He wants this house for whatever reason. Maybe a couple of grand here or there. I had, there was one I did have, and the highest bidder came round and was poking holes in the house constantly. And somebody below that wasn't really invested in the house. The lower person got it, because I thought this person's going to mess about throughout this whole process. We can't be bothered with that. Seller couldn't be bothered with that. So I think to give any kind of advice across to buyers, your deposit is going to play a bit on it. So if you've got a 20% deposit and people come with 10%, you might be the secure bet, especially if your offers are going higher than the asking price considerably.
Yeah.
Do you know the area? Have you been here before? Have your family here? There's a lot of wee different things that I will work out.
And like you mentioned there, like, would you say that to the buyer? Like, would you be like, look, this guy's bid maybe a couple of grand more, but you know, he's been in the house and he's just nothing but poked fault in it, so I think this is going to be a nightmare. You wouldn't say that?
No. So when I'm doing...
Or the seller, sorry.
To the seller? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the seller, yeah. So when I'm doing my just general conversations with people and finding out about them, yeah, I talk to the seller about who I think is going to be the most secure. I mean, there's the facts and there's the figures of stuff. And then there is what my thought is on it as well. And sometimes you just get a gut feeling too. Like, you just know when a buyer, somebody is going to go through and really is invested in the property.
Yeah.
And what about a cash buyer? Is it more likely to...
Cash is good.
Probably going to happen if the cash
Cash
is
is
there.
king.
But
Cash is good. Cash is good. Cash is good. The thing with cash buyers, obviously, if you're putting 200 grand of your own money into a house, you're going to be really, really tight on getting the best surveys done on the house, making sure the legals are all done right, which is fine. It can shave off, a good 3-4 weeks easy on the whole process, which is brilliant. It depends again. Cash is brilliant. If you have got a house that's a bit of a wreck, cash is getting that all day long. If it's something that the cash bidder is on par with the mortgage offer and the house will value up okay, well, you're kind of looking at both of them going, well, it'll mortgage up okay. I'm still happy to push this mortgage bidder a wee bit higher.
Yeah.
If I can extra 5 grand out of them, it still might be worthwhile taking them. 5 grand's 5 grand. So again, you're looking at the whole circumstances of the buyer, the house, timescales, what will go through. But cash is always tasty.
Do you find that even for like first time buyers now, like one thing that we sort of learned whenever we were looking was, you know, you had people who were potentially putting on 5 grand more, but because you're a first time buyer, you're not in a chain, you can sometimes be a little bit more favourable because you're not going to knock on timescales and
so you have no chain. Definitely first time buyers are brilliant. Now again, a lot of the stuff that I sell is to first time buyers, so I would have first time buyers flying in through the door saying me, I've got 10-15% deposit, I'm a first time buyer with no chain, I'm your buyer. Well, the other 15 people are exactly the same that came through the door in front of you. So yes, it's a bonus, but again, that competition within that market's fierce as well. So if I have a couple of bidders, first time buyers, roughly at the same sort of money, it's going to come down to the final bid on that instance. If everybody's in the same boat, it's just about who lands at the end. And then again, I'd have a wee look at all their Personal circumstances. What have they said to me?
Yeah.
Have they come back twice, 3 times to see the house? Have they brought their parents?
Yeah.
You know, first time buyers, it might sound a bit patronising, but there'll be couples that'll come through and they'll have both sets of parents with them at the same view, and the first view, and they'll make me a brilliant offer for the house, and both parents are like, that's brilliant. Everybody's approving of this house. This is class.
Yeah.
Because if there's anybody that can kill the first time buyer's dream, it's their parents.
Yep. Yeah. I know.
100%.
Yeah.
I see this all the time.
Yeah.
When I have offers from first time buyers and they're coming through and they love the house and I accept it, and then the parents come round. Sometimes that can be a hairy moment. I'm sitting on going, oh, I hope these parents like it. And then parents have expectations as well, and oh my God.
Jeez, houses aren't built as good now as they were in my
Absolutely.
day. And,
Absolutely. I honestly.
knocking walls and all.
Yeah. Oh, don't start with the wall knocking stuff. Don't start with the wall knocking stuff. But yeah, they can kill a sale.
Yeah.
So if I've got a first time buyers come through, good money, and the parents that came to see it as well, I just that's the package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so patronising, but it's beautiful as well.
I remember an area we went to see, and we really liked the house, and I brought my dad with me on a separate sort of occasion and was like, look, like, I need your honest opinion on here. And there was a fence, and beside the fence was a green area, and he kind of went, boss, I don't know. He goes, here, and looked at the fence, and it was all like graffitied, like not graffitied, but like scratched and stuff, like where you could tell that kids had been like marking and stuff. I said, right, okay. I was like, you're being large. And then I turned out a friend of ours lived across the road. Her sister lived across the road, I remember. They were like, we can't wait to go out here. The kids are mental. Like, our car's been dented by footballs, and you're kind of going, right. I had to go back to my dad and be like, yeah, fair play.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, they can be useful.
Yeah.
They will see things that
yeah,
you
because
won't
as a first time buyer, you're probably walking in and going,
it's beautiful.
give me it.
Yeah, totally.
And then with the struggles as well with the market and it being so competitive,
Yeah.
you're like, I need to get going this quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I like to have it. If everybody's approval is there, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
With like the bidding and like it being difficult, like is that where like new builds sort of come in and can be a bit more appealing to avoid that whole process
Yeah.
of bidding? Like
Yeah.
what are sort of, I suppose, the pros and cons of going for a new build?
Yeah, with a new build scenario, you just cut out all the bidding.
Mm.
You go select your site, pick the one you like, reserve it.
Yeah.
That gets you out of that scenario completely. And I have had people that have been viewing and bidding houses disappear and go to new builds, which is grand. The new builds can be awkward in themselves because of the time scale. You have really no idea when they're going to be completed.
Yeah.
You have a rough idea, and then you tend to find it's going another 3 months down the line after that too, and maybe a bit longer again. So I think new builds are great. But dead on. Personally, for me, they're not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I like something a bit older, a bit of character.
Yeah.
But yeah, new builds are all right.
Is there any sort of downside to new, like for someone first time buyers are listening, like why you shouldn't, or
Why you shouldn't buy a new build as a first time buyer? I think it's an easy option, to be honest. I actually think it's quite a nice option for a first time buyer to walk into something that needs nothing. You walk in and it's done. What you tend to find with new builds is you're paying a premium for them straight away anyway.
yeah.
So you're paying a premium for a brand new build house. If it's a development that has a couple of hundred houses all exactly the same, in that development, you're always going to find that there's a number of houses within that development for sale.
Yeah.
You tend to find if you come to sell your house, you're in competition normally with 4 or 5, 6 other houses, probably identical.
Yeah.
No, it depends on the development. Some developments wouldn't rise as quick in pricing as others. It's just location. But I think new builds are all right. Well, I don't sell new builds, so I don't want people to buy new builds.
Move on then.
Actually, I do. I've got one at the minute. Oh no, I have another one coming on. Oh, flip.
New builds are great.
Yeah, new builds are brilliant.
So moving on then, based on what we've covered, like how high in demand houses are, it must be a good time to be selling your house.
It is if you're not buying something. No.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the circle of life and selling to buy something else, selling's the easy part, definitely. Buying is the hard part. So if you're selling and you've got somewhere else actually to move into, or you're selling, you've no other chain, that's brilliant. But yeah, selling your house is the easy part. Finding something's the hard part. When I have clients that are actually looking to move home, that can't be difficult. It can't be difficult. It's like the client that I have at the minute, they are sitting months, haven't found anything. Their house sold easy. 2 weeks again. Good money over the asking price. Can't find anything.
Is that pretty common now, though? Like, I suppose it's back to the band side, but like people are selling their house okay, but they can't find anything.
Yeah.
Like the most sellers, like, is it normal for a seller to have no house to go to before they sell? Or
Yeah, so the whole difficulty about actually moving a home from one to another at this point in time is, it's like the chicken and the egg. What do you do first? Do you sell yours first or put yours up on the market before you find something? Or do you find something and put yours up for sale?
yeah,
So if, imagine you don't have your house for sale at the minute and you're looking at one of the websites tonight and you see the dream house, the one and only house, this is the one I want, all for it. Right, I've got to sell my house to buy this. By the time you do anything with it, that's gone.
yeah,
So you nearly have to have yours on the market now. Activity, at least offers, as well, which is terrifying. Like if you have nowhere to go to yet, do you have to go through that whole process to be in a position to actually be able to buy this other one? Because you're guaranteed that this other one that you've just seen for sale, this is the dream house. It's a dream house for a pile of other people too. They might have nothing to sell. They might have cash. They might have their house sale agreed. They might have it on the market with offers. They might have it on the market with viewings. You're at the bottom of the pyramid. So you have no chance. So that's the hard part. The hard part is just trying to get people to be in a position where they're actually tangibly able to make an offer on something. So that's difficult. Again, stock levels.
yeah.
Would you say people sometimes rush into selling the house, like in a bad market, or thinking, "Frig, I need to get this house sold. I think the market's going to crash." Like they're trying to offload it nearly. Whereas if they had kept it for another while, maybe it would just even be worth even more. Or
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. I haven't come across that in a while where there's been a panic sale as such. Not because of the market anyway. The market is good. It's fine. In actual fact, I think some of my recent sales there could have got more if they had just let me run it on a bit longer. No.
Is the demand the same, like, all the way up in terms of price points? Because, like, this assumption I'd have would be if someone's selling a house, they're either looking to go up to something bigger, probably have more disposable income, maybe like they're later in life and have more money, better jobs. Like, is it the same for, like, say, £600,000 house in terms of, like, the demand, like, even for those priced houses?
No, not really. So again, it depends where you are. If you're in Belfast, the amount of £500,000 plus houses in Belfast, there's a lot of them.
That is average enough price.
They do go well. But like I've had a few larger homes, and no, it's not the same. I know what you mean. So first time buyers buying something, this person has to move, that person has to move, they have to keep moving up the chain. Not really. So the bigger houses, when you look at in Belfast, Lisburn, £600,000 plus market, there's a lot of them been sitting for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of them. I've watched so many of them. There's a couple that have been sitting for a couple of years. Like it's so no, it's not the same. There's not the same market for it.
Is there any reason for that? I suppose it's just the expense of them.
Money. Yeah, I just don't think there's that sort of dough kicking about too much. Like there's money, but not to that extent for the amount of properties that are for sale. A couple of big ones that I have, the majority of people coming to see it are coming from England, really coming home, Dublin, moving up. Not really local people. That makes sense. Now I know that's not across the board. There's a lot of big houses sell.
Just higher disposable income areas, really looking to move. Yeah, that's interesting.
The main, I would say the majority of the market movement is probably up to 400 grand is definitely flying.
Yeah.
Above and beyond that is harder.
And like, what should like sellers' expectations be in terms of timelines? Like, we're saying they're in a position where I want to sell this house before I move on to something else or find something else. Like, do you think people are sort of maybe out of the loop in terms of like this could go pretty quick here and you might have to get the ball rolling for yourself? Or
do you know what? Funny thing about it, most homeowners think their houses are going to sell overnight anyway, for maximum money. So the amount of times I've had an owner say to me, "Oh, my house is going to fly. It's going to fly. No problem." And that is probably the case for a lot of them, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So I think owners' expectations of what their house is normally higher than I think even what the market sometimes dictates. Owners have this kind of slightly warped version of their own homes, and their own homes are like absolutely amazing and
Their
worth
pride and
£1 million
joy.
every single time, when
Is
Might
that
not be.
common enough then when you speak to people? Like, what are those conversations like when they're like, "Oh, this is worth this," and you're like, "Well,
Most occasions I walk away from them.
yeah,
Yeah. So if I go to a property where I think it's worth a figure, and I know I might be able to achieve a certain figure, and if the owner's expectations are wildly above mine, I'm not interested.
I suppose it puts yourself under pressure if you're like, yeah, I can see what I can do, but then you're like, know yourself, you're
It's
not
not
gonna do
realistic.
it.
There's no point.
Yeah,
There's like last year, I refused to take on well into double figures of houses, and it's because of a lot of it because of the pricing structure. When I go to do evaluation of property, first of all, I'll send the owners a little questionnaire, and one of them is, "What's your expectation on price?" It's not to give me an idea of what I need to say to you. It's actually need to give me an idea of whether I need to dodge you or not. So if you're selling your house, you probably will have done a bit of research, hopefully, on your own house. You'll have looked at the market, you'll have seen what it's about. If your expectation is wildly above mine, yeah, I'm not going near that.
and what advice would you give sellers before they even go to an estate agent when they're thinking about selling?
Do their own research. I think, again, you need to kind of slightly understand what you're doing. Now, we're the experts, so we're going to come out and tell you and give the advice on the price and the market and the time scales and who your buyer is going to be and all that kind of stuff. But I think you should have some sort of a clue about what your house is worth, what you're doing. Most houses have some sort of comparable evidence. Like, I look at portals and find what's for sale. We talk to agents about what's been sold, actual tangible prices. We go back over historical prices as well. And owners can find out a lot of information themselves. I think you should just know roughly where you stand with yours and how quick are things moving.
Can you do that? Can you ring, like, could anyone just ring up another estate agent and ask for comparables?
Oh, yeah. As a homeowner,
As a
you
buyer.
can. As an agent, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there like any sort of things online that you can use to try and get a? Because you always see that as Zoopla, isn't it?
It's rubbish.
You can't actually get the
Absolute
prices
rubbish.
here.
No,
What does
it's-
that work over in England or something? Isn't it?
Yeah, because their land registry over there is all available to the public. Ours
Yeah.
isn't. So
Right.
we can't see here what they've actually sold for. So the way I do it is by speaking to agents. I need to know, phone the agent around the corner and find out what he sold that house for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I would do it. But Zoopla's rubbish. There's so many of them out there, and they are wild.
Stay away from that then.
I wouldn't go near them.
Is there a right way then to go about things, like in terms of you're looking to move and you're gonna have to sell your house? Is it a matter of it's better to find somewhere first before you sell, or sell first before you buy, or is it just
I think you need to have your house on the market.
yeah?
Honestly, just because of the competition, you need to have. If you're going to go and put your house on the market, find out what yours is worth first of all. Look at the jobs that you've been putting off for the last 6 months as well. Like, there's going to be stuff in the house that silly things. When you come to selling the property, you have to detach yourself. So it might have been your home for 10 years, 2 years, whatever it might be. All of a sudden now you're selling something. This is now a product, something you're selling. You have to kind of detach your emotion from it and go, when viewers walk through the store, what are they seeing? What are they liking? What are they disliking? I have houses that are sold houses before that there's been a handful of little minor things people have not done, and the viewers walk in and see them, and that's enough to make somebody go, nah, this house hasn't been looked after, hasn't been cared for, and they walk out the door. So any kind of odd jobs, get them done. Just make sure the house is sitting as best as it can be, present it as best as it can be, and get it up for sale. Because when the time comes and you see that right house, you need to be able to move.
What about my mum and dad are estate agents, but they always say one thing is you'd be very surprised at how many people don't clean their house before they go and sell it. Is that something you've come across?
Yeah.
I can't understand that though. Like, I can't understand how you would let other people into your house without you.
Yeah. So it happens.
Yeah.
And some people are nose blind in their own house as well.
Yeah.
So you might have pets, and as a fresh person walking into the house, especially like on the time of valuation or when I'm bringing it on, if there's things that I see, smell,
Yeah.
I have to advise them accordingly. But that's a delicate conversation to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's unbelievable. Again,
What's the polite way of saying your house is stinking?
just you would say to just make sure it's prepared as best as possible. You remember you're selling, you've got one shot at this. Make sure it's nice and clean and it's lovely candles on and open up a couple of windows and stuff like
You
that.
coming in with Febreze on?
I actually do. I actually do. For again, thankfully, a lot of the houses I sell are nice refurbished houses, but for some homes, I've mopped, I've vacuumed, I have my gloves on, I'm cleaning in advance of viewings. Sometimes it just needs to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's an awkward conversation to have.
What about staging houses? So, like, do you ever have conversations where maybe you come in the house and you're like, oh, have you just tweaked a few things, or would you recommend staging to people? Or
Staging's brilliant.
yeah,
Staging is amazing for a load of different reasons. So if this house, for instance, here had nothing in it, and I took photographs of it empty, it would still look nice. People could see that's a nice looking house. But from a perspective of what actually fits into a room, photographs now all of a sudden people can see what is actually tangible in that room. You can fit a couple of sofas and a table and chairs. So from photographs, it looks great. We're selling the lifestyle again. This is where you kind of remove the emotion and you're selling something. I want to sell a lifestyle and have people walk in and go, I can see myself being here. That's it. And when we do it with nice furniture and nice fittings, and viewers walk in, especially first time buyers that normally have zero vision at all, or imagination, they walk in and they see something and go, I want it. I want the whole thing. So from a photographic point of view, the videos, the viewings, everything, it works.
yeah.
And for like people who don't really know what staging is, so you're essentially renting furniture, aren't you, to put into an empty house? But what can you expect to pay for that sort of?
It's normally around $2,000, give or take.
Yeah. And that's
Normally
full
around
house
£2,000.
furnished.
That is like, the whole thing. You have pictures on walls, beds fitted, all the gear, wardrobes, the whole thing, plants, the lot.
And how do you see that in comparable to what that has on the final bid?
Pricing.
But someone's probably thinking $2,000.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that's as an example. That house that hit nearly $100,000 over the asking price in one day, that was staged, and the photographs were sent out staged. The owner of that house, when I told him it was $2,000 to do that, he said, "There's absolutely zero chance I'd spend $2,000 in this house to do this. Not happening. I've got my own stuff I'll bring." I thought, okay, that could be nice, could be grand. I said, "But trust me on this. Let me do it. Let's get it done." The buyer of that house said to me that she was paying that money for that house because it looked unbelievable, and she could see herself living in that house, and she talked about the furniture in those photographs. So that was the best $2,000 I felt ever spent.
Yeah.
Like, it was fantastic. It worked well. And again, from every single house that I've done with staging, the final price has been like phenomenal. I honestly believe it's because people come in and they see themselves living in the house. They envisage themselves there. They're coming in, they're sitting down on the sofas, and they're sitting at the tables, and sometimes you can't get them out of the house.
Getting cozy.
Yeah, the lifestyle's there. It's brilliant.
For the price you're selling houses at as well, it's really is nothing. Like,
Yeah, like this one here, these people done it themselves, which is fantastic. I have no idea what they would have spent on it, but then they can keep this stuff and bring it to the next house. There's the next development that they do. So there's that option too. But for the majority of the refurbs that I would be involved with, staging's just in, get it kitted out, it moves out again in, I think it's about 6 or 7 weeks.
has developing or like flipping become more popular, do you think, over the past while? Just because like it's another thing, you talk to people and they're like, oh, it's all these people buying up the houses and set to sell them. Like, is it becoming increasingly popular, or is that just a misconception?
No, it's always been there. Like, people have always bought and sold houses. I think through the rise of the social media side of that and the courses that are taking place, and there's a lot of class people out there that are educating the public on how to buy and sell houses, which is brilliant. So there's definitely a lot more people out there doing it.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of people out there wanting to make money and live this dream of flipping houses and becoming millionaires in 6 months' time.
You sort of always hear that, these flippers are driving the property prices up and all, but would you say like the likes of first time buyers are maybe doing the same by like just going into a property and being throwing money at it more so? Where,
I think they're more to blame than the flippers, because the flippers are buying houses that people don't want.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
buying they're rubbish.
I think
They're buying
that's
stuff
what a lot
that
of people don't
nobody's
realise,
going near. So they're doing that. It's like first time buyers are paying the good money for lovely houses. If these weren't refurbished, I'm going to sound really biased here, but if these weren't refurbished, they'd be sitting as tips.
Yeah, the
Wrecked.
them.
So the flippers are doing everybody a good service. I think it's brilliant.
Fair enough.
They're almost the savvy ones in terms of like they're looking for something they can add value to.
Totally.
Whereas
Yeah.
like we've spoke about already, like first time buyers now almost want to walk into a finished house.
They do. Yeah, 100%. The flipper, they're two completely different people. Now, I've noticed that on that development side, I think the amount of people that are doing it, there's a serious amount of competition between them folks as well.
Yeah.
Like I had people message me when a house that comes up on the market for sale that needs a lot of work. I would have multiple people message me on the same night that comes on for sale. Right, Jared, what's this worth when it's finished, when it's refurbished? And I know like all 6 or 7 of them or 10 of them that have messaged me, and I can't say to any of them, he's messaged me, she's messaged me, but they're all the same kind of group. And then they all bid against each other, and I find out who's paid what for it. And that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because even that, there's such a shortage of that stock that the bids that are going into buying those properties can be quite high as well.
Margins getting tighter on
Margin
these.
getting tighter.
Yeah. Can you see that market down at all? It's just, is there a shortage of houses? Like, is there always a deal out there? Because don't know if you've Carly Anderson flipping property. We had her
brilliant.
on,
Yeah.
and she was very much like, "There's always a deal to be got."
There's always a deal. There's always a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always a deal. There's always something out there can be bought, and sometimes it's not the most obvious things too. Like there's people that I know that would go, let's say on Property Pal, for instance, as a website, and they would go Belfast last page, and they would go through like 150 pages, whatever the last page is, go to the very last page, and they've ordered that in newest listing to old list. Go on the very last page and see what's been sitting for the last 7 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year. And they're looking down going, wonder could I buy that for 30 grand less than what it's worth right now? So not even the obvious stuff that's coming on the market like today that needs refurbished that everybody jumps at. There's other big cute ones out there looking going, I'm going to go and just offer them a silly price and see if it works.
Would that you even advise that to first time buyers? Like just consider what you could do with a house. Like if you put a bit of work into
It comes
it.
down to money. Yeah, absolutely. But it comes down to money and the will to do it.
Yeah.
Like flippers can come in and do a house very quickly. And it's sitting immaculate, done.
Yeah.
Damn-proof course, wiring, the whole lot. It's like future-proof. First-time buyers to do that sort of work, it's tedious, it's horrible. Like you're living in a bit of a building site and you need to have like cash money. Like your 10% deposit plus your 20 grand extra as well to do the work.
But even in saying that, like you're going like ones who maybe are struggling to get the like 15-20% deposit.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, like you've got the cash there, you could get something a lot cheaper, spend that money and doing it up, and then like that person could almost become a developer from doing it because they're like, fuck,
Yeah.
look at what I'm selling
Yeah,
this for
totally.
now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
If you can, again, a bit of time there, if you do it over a bit of time and you create something nice and you've added value to it, yeah, you've added value. When you buy the refurbished stuff, you're hoping that the market's going to take it up, but you're paying a premium for it. Again, it's pretty much like a new build. You're paying a premium for walking into something that is done.
Yeah.
If you can add value to it in a year's time, you should be fine. You should have made money, and then you can keep doing that.
Can you see the market like leveling out anytime soon? Like, because I think when you know people who work in trades, you can almost understand it better in terms of like the cost of stuff's just more expensive. Like that's why prices are the way they are. Like labour's more expensive. Like it is the way it is. But is it going to get this stage where it like sort of hits its max?
What's its max? What's the max? I couldn't tell you. I've no idea. I don't know what a max would be.
Because I think you look at like the way it's went over say the last 20 years and like it's went up and like sort of taken out the property crash, but like 50 years ago, what was the house worth? Like could a houses be worth
500 quid?
800 grand in 30 years? Do you know what I mean?
That's true. I look at like what my dad bought and what he sold it for, and in that period of time, it went up 10 times. This particular house, I think to myself, like my house, could it go up 10 times?
Yeah.
Surely to God it can't, because that would be mental. I don't see that. I think those kind of like exponential kind of growths, I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
I think it just is going to be nice and slowly rising the whole time, and that's perfect.
Yeah. So I suppose we'll get a bit on to yourself and like how you've got on in the like you went out on your own.
Yeah.
Like, what was like how long ago was that, and like what sort of drove you to make that decision?
Well, that was a catalogue of events that kind of pushed me this way. So that was 3 years ago, and I was employed. I've been doing this since I left school, so 1997, and it's brilliant. I love it as a job. I love it. I love meeting people. The crack is great. Houses. I love houses. I love interiors. I love all that kind of stuff. So as a career, it was amazing. I actually wanted to be a mechanic. I didn't want to be an estate agent. I was kind of forced into it by my family, by my dad, actually, at that point in time. And rightly so. Like, I moisturize my hands. There's no way I'm going to be a mechanic.
Yeah.
But fast forward to pre-COVID, the company I was working for, I was involved with the potential of buying it with 2 other people in that. And thankfully, kind of COVID came and knocked everything in the head. At that point in time, I went on furlough. And I remember my boss at the time phoning me and saying, Gerard, this might not even open again. I'm thinking, what? This is a company like a handful of months ago I was going to buy. And for years, that's all I wanted. That was the kind of the path that I was taking with this firm, me and the other 2 boys. And that kind of path was now starting to look very shaky. And then I'm thinking to myself, everything I own here that I'm paying for is because of this man that employs me. And if this goes pear-shaped, like, I'm not in control. I'm not in control of my life here. This is actually slightly mental. It kind of hit me a bit of a slap. There was a few other things going on at that point in time too, where I ended up getting airlifted off Cave Hill. I was running around and broke my leg and stuff and had to get airlifted. So I ended up in hospital for a while, and the whole thing was just sitting in my head going, right, my life's not, it's all kind of taking a bit of a detour here. So I had to take control. And I'd been watching the American agents and the Australian agents and agents in Europe as well about what they were doing, very social media kind of focused, which was different at that point in time.
So like your buddy Rance or Hampton?
Rance or Hampton, yeah, a lot of those guys, and they were amazing. Like, and looking at it going, this is nuts. Like, what are these people doing? Are they getting business from it? That was the thing. Are they actually getting business from it? And one of the things, there was an Australian agent, Lisa Novak, and I remember she kept coming on social all the time saying, you know, we're pre-selling this, we've pre-sold this off social media and Facebook and Instagram, we're doing this. And I'm looking at her posts and going, she's got like 19 likes. Like, you selling houses with 19 likes? This can't be true. It's nonsense. So I contacted her and I said to her, like, Lisa, I love your stuff. It's brilliant. But like, genuinely, are you able to sell all these houses through social media, or is this all full of shit? And she said to me, why do you ask that? That's because your posts are getting like 19, 20 likes, 21 likes. This is like rubbish, surely. She sent me screenshots of the views of what the things were getting. And I was like, all right, okay. She says, no, forget about the likes. That's vanity. Here's 3,000 people, 6,000 people, 20,000 people have seen these posts and these posts that she was putting up. They're seeing my name. They're seeing my brand. Not everybody's going to like what you're doing, but they see it. And then we got into this conversation about the fact that, you know, the office that I was in at that point in time, how the transition over time, like I'm in the estate agency before it was internet was involved. So people had to come into the office actually to physically like speak to an agent or view properties on the wall, like brochures and stuff.
Looking through the window.
I had to stick photographs onto these brochures and stuff back in the day. But as time went on, the offices, the one I was in particular, there'd be days go by where there wasn't a member of the public come anywhere near it. I'd be sitting there, like the odd person coming to pay rent, but actually to come and buy or sell a house, very few people were coming into that office. So all of a sudden I'm looking at this going, this is a very expensive advertising tool. Sitting on the street, kind of saying, this is where we are, we're here in the street. I remember them walking out one time onto the road and looking left and looking right, and that was our market share where I could see. So I'm looking at this very expensive advertising place. To say that we're here, to limit our market, it's a bit mental when you think about it. So I was going, it has to be something different here. Like, I surely can sell houses anywhere. I don't need an office. So even when I was going to buy that company, I wanted to change that method as well of how we were actually operating as a firm. And I thought, could we go to a first floor office? Like, do we need this high street premises that we're paying so much money for? And the more I was looking at all these kind of agents abroad, a lot of them were, especially the Americans, personal estate agents, one man, one woman out doing their thing with no office really. Then there was a company in England I just happened to come across. I was chatting to them and they were doing the same thing. I thought, I like this. I like this kind of one man, one agency approach where I'm going to come and take you as a client from start to finish the whole way through. And I loved the idea. I loved the concept of it. So I done that. I actually joined them. They were the overarching kind of brokerage, American style brokerage at that point in time. And I was an independent solo agent here. But they were English, and the company, it just didn't gel here. Even though I was kind of saying I'm this personal agent, I'm doing this, there was still that disconnect because the overarching company was in England and it just didn't work. So I thought, well, I can chop that out and I can change it to make more personalized even again here. So that's what I do now. I kind of just from start to finish, pretty much all my custom comes from Instagram.
Yeah.
Would you say you're less of an estate agent and maybe more of like a consultant? Or
That was a nice way to put it.
yeah,
I don't know.
not a traditional estate agent.
Yeah, I think I'm an estate agent. I look at my role as I'm in marketing.
Yeah,
I got to
Yeah.
market these properties like properly. I don't want just your house to be seen on the websites. I want the famous. I want your house to be seen by the masses. So my marketing's the main thing. I have to be the estate agent, negotiate the sales, and bring it to the end. And yeah, consultant, because I'm there with the buyer, the buyers and the sellers the whole way through the process, like 24/7. I don't close with no offices.
I think from going through your social media, like the amount of attention put on the video side of things, like was that like from looking at all those other people and being like, this is the way it has to be done? Because like it just even seems ridiculous now. You're on Property Pal and you're looking at places and you're like one or two photos and you're expecting people to book viewings. Like it's mad.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, but it still happens. There's a lot of agencies that I feel don't give the property the attention that it should get. Yeah, you're spending a couple of £100,000 on something, or you want attention, you want viewers coming through it, and you put up a couple of really bad photographs. Like I think you're doing a client a disservice. Like the client is paying you X amount of money to sell this place, and that's the effort you're going to. I think it's disgraceful on most occasions.
how much of your business has come from like people being like, look at the video he's done for this house?
All of it.
All of it.
Every sale that I've had has come through pretty much Instagram, and it's all been off the back of the videos. I had one agent actually say to me before, if I was a buyer, like I don't really know if the videos would entice me to buy the house. I said, the videos aren't for the buyers. He said, what do you mean? I said, the videos are for the sellers. He said, what do you mean? I said, the sellers love my videos. Sellers love their house being videoed and put on and presented this way. I said that the buyers like the videos, class, but I do this to get business. I do this so sellers look at me and go, I want my house done that way as well. So that was my angle for that. It was about showcasing the house as best as possible so I could get more business, not necessarily to get viewers to really love my videos.
And was that a big investment from your side of things? Because like anyone who knows you or is like seeing your Instagram, like the quality is insane. Like is that like, do you have a videographer that does that?
It's expensive. Yeah, it is. It's when I first started doing it, I started doing it myself. Actually, my son, who's 10 years old, helped me my first video. I swear to God, he had my wee gimbal. It was a house in Winchurch Avenue, and literally I was walking along Winchurch, and he followed me with it, and I'm talking to it. And I hadn't even got a microphone at that point in time, and he followed me walking to the house, and then I took it off him, and I had my own wee drone, and I'd done the drone, and that was actually, believe it or not, one of the first videos that people thought, that's different, I like that. And now I look back at it and go, that's mental.
Yeah.
But it kind of allowed me to move on and think, well, this actually has worked. I'm getting business off the back of this.
Yeah.
Man, that's my son walking behind me with a wee gimbal. Like, it's nuts.
Hope he was paid well for that.
He's done all right. He's done all right.
Never actually thought of it that way though, because like we're only after doing an hour-long podcast talking about how like the buying side of things, like there's such a demand.
Yeah.
So I never even thought of, like, I'm looking at it from my perspective going, you're doing these like amazing videos and putting so much effort in to attract the buyers, but that's like that will come.
Yeah.
It's the sellers, because they're probably looking and going, look at all these other people I could go with to sell my house. Why should I go?
It sets me apart. Makes me slightly different.
That's fair.
And that is, it's expensive now.
Yeah.
The videos now that I do, the package is expensive, and I would say there's probably no other agent out there that will spend the money that I spend on marketing. It would be just, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen in the slightest. But it's an investment. Like, I look at it and go, I want my stuff to be nice. I want my presentation to be nice. I want my houses to be lovely. I want, like I did last year as well, I want to be able to turn people away and say, I have no time to take you on.
It's a reflection on you and your brand as well. Like, it is brand building. Like, it's a reflection of the quality of your service, the effort you're going to. But like, why? I don't want to like paint other estate agents in a bad light, but like, why do you think it is sort of like so outdated? Like, even some of the top agents, like, you don't see them doing that on socials. It's almost as if they don't want to like believe that that's the way it's going. But I personally, I think, because I work in marketing and like content specifically with paid marketing, like I know the value of it. Like, why do you think there is such a almost like neglect to go that way?
Yeah, I think I chose to go this way because I think it's 100% there's a market for it, and it's going to go that way. It's going to go more that way. And in fact, I would love more agents to do what I'm doing and do it this way. Personal, single estate agents doing that. The thing with the big companies is they don't need to.
Yeah.
They actually don't need to. So a lot of the big firms, a lot of even just the normal firms, they're getting business hand over fist anyway. And they're getting stock, and they're happy to keep just taking what they get.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. You know?
Exactly.
But I suppose from a seller point of view, like that's them thinking probably the opposite way of you. If they're going, well, all we need to do is we have the buyers. All we need to do is get this thing. It's kind of like, you know, a car and a lot, like, you know what I mean? It's like, we'll drive it in and sure, we'll stick it out there because I know someone will want to buy it. Whereas drive it in, make sure it's done really nice, you probably get a couple more grand for it.
This is the thing with most sellers, and most sellers, agents all do the same thing. We all do the same thing, and that's the perception that the estate agents all do the same thing. And that's it. They definitely don't. They definitely don't. So, and that's not even just the marketing side of things. That's just so many different facets of estate agency that some will excel in and some don't excel in at all. But yeah, the perception is just that I can go and give it to this agency and they're going to sell it anyway, regardless. And that's what happens. Like, I suppose when you look back to what I've done myself now on the social media side of things, I started that probably 2 years before I left the firm that I was employed with. And while I was there, I had people say to me, they thought I owned the company I worked for already because I was putting myself face on it. The company had been open for 20 years. But all of a sudden, some people were thinking, people were telling me, you own Hamptons, or you're the boss, or you do this. No, I just put myself out. So I was actually putting myself front and center of that company. And if I was an owner of an estate agency now, would I want somebody else putting themselves front and center facially in front of my brand? I don't know. So if I was one of those big agencies and had somebody else kind of taking a limelight and a spotlight to potentially take my business and disappear and set up their own agency too, I'd be a bit cautious of that too.
Because it is even like common enough, like people work for a bigger agency, go out on their own, like, and then I suppose that side of things, you're sort of almost stressing the owner out in terms of like, is this big on? Yeah. But like, I think even like in general marketing and brands, like most big brands now have a face of the company. Like it's like a lot of it is more personable. Like I think the brands I love, like representing stuff like Gymshark, like brands like that. You know the owner, like you know the story. And it's sort of similar to what you're doing.
But like a lot of the owners, Michael Chandler's a brilliant fella. I love estate agent, and he started putting himself in front of the videos, and it was fantastic. I haven't seen any of his videos recently, but that was like an owner putting himself front and center of the brand, and I thought that was class. Yeah, fair play to him. There's not many others out there that do it or even want to do it.
Yeah. So sticking on the online side, Shay sort of touched on it earlier, but like there was a while ago the likes of Purple Bricks and things like that, people almost thought, oh, this is going to go online as well as like a lot of other things, but it hasn't necessarily went that way. Do you think it ever will go that way, or like why is it that like that traditional estate agent is still going to stay the way it is?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at next. I'm wondering what's the next step. Where do we go from here in a estate agency? There's going to be something else that'll happen. The Purple Brick side of things, I think, was far too soon in its lifetime to even be apparent. At this point in time, it wasn't received overly well at all. Could that be, in 10 years' time, be the way forward? Possibly. It might just have been ahead of its time. But I think, again, kind of like where I'm at, it's a very personal thing. I'm with you. If it was going completely online, there'd be zero use for me. Like holding your hand the whole way through it. So I still think there's definitely going to be that aspect of interaction, person, communication. Purple Bricks, I see their adverts now, they're doing it for free.
Are they?
Free.
Fuck me.
Like, if that doesn't say that it's not working, I don't know what does. That's ridiculous. But I can't rattle on about other companies. But I don't know. The future of it, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to work out myself. There's bound to be some sort of hybrid method. But I remember even when I was working in England, Tesco's brought out a website that they were allowing the public to advertise their properties.
Right.
And this would be back, when was that? 2010, I think, roughly. Yeah, 2010, 2011. I think roughly Tesco's brought out this platform and they were allowing the public to put their properties up. And that led to so many problems. Because if you can imagine, Gerard McClinton here wants to sell his house. He puts it up on Tesco's website, and I'm saying it's an amazing 4-bedroom semi-detached house that needs absolutely zero done to it. And I've got my phone out and I've taken loads of photographs. I've stuck it up on Tesco's website. And a viewer comes to the house, and I'm Gerard McClinton standing here. There's my house. And it's a 3-bedroom mid-terrace house that is riddled with damp. Like, there were so many misdescriptions about that all so many adverts were completely falsely used and inaccurate.
There's no mediator or the middleman like to.
Yeah, so it just had it accidentally crushed. It
Yeah.
stopped. Tesco's, whatever they put into it was a flop.
Yeah.
So I think going from public to portal, I have no idea how that would actually transition.
Yeah. I suppose following on, final question. What's next for Gerard McClinton? Like, where do you see your business going?
That's a good question. For me, I'm still going to be kind of personal, bespoke, just taking on what I want to take on.
Yeah.
I do need other staff members though, so I'm bringing on other staff members next year as well.
Yeah.
I'm bringing on other staff members this year to help me kind of make the thing smoother, not to bring any of the stuff on. But I believe, I'm kind of in the process of this now, I believe there is a need for what I'm doing. There's a lot of agents out there I've spoken to over the last year or two, and they're interested in what I'm doing. And I'm doing all right. I'm making money. I'm comfortable. I'm able to spend my time freely how I see it as well. And I think there's definitely a market out there for maybe me creating the overarching brand and have a lot of independent agents working with me as well.
Do you think there is like an appetite for even like estate agents to hire someone, not necessarily like yourself, obviously you've like years of experience being an estate agent, but someone who literally is just good on camera, is going around the showing the house on camera? Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It actually happens now.
Yeah. Is that becoming more popular?
Yeah, it's happening with agents that are not wanting to be on camera themselves, and they're bringing somebody in to do stuff now. Actually, a couple of my videos, I brought people in to do that. I had Amanda Maxted from Cool FM do one of my videos. She was brilliant. Again, that made me zero money, but it got me exposure that all of a sudden I've got this Cool FM presenter walking around one of my houses and sellers with this is amazing. It's super. Another one that a few people into it. So yeah, I would bring people in, and it's something I would still definitely do for the right house. It doesn't sell the house in any way. It costs me more money, but it's exposure.
Yeah.
But there's a few agents doing that at the minute with their normal house videos. They've got somebody in to do it, but I want to be face of my brand. It's face for videos it might be. I want to be in front of it. Nobody else is stealing my limelight.
Yeah. No, but it's been a brilliant podcast.
Thank you, lads.
I think our listeners will definitely take a lot of value from it. So we'll put all your socials below, and if anyone's looking to sell a house, you're the man to go.
Thank
to.
you.
So thanks for
Thank you, lads.
coming on.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.